Okay, well, this is going to be fun, Esther. And thank you, first off, for taking your time this afternoon, because I know you're doing this in the Houston area. But where do you live?
I live about an hour and 30 minutes from here. And
Okay.
that's where I lived when I first went into Mary Kay, uh,
And then you have
7
people,
years ago,
how many years ago was it?
57.
57. So the company's now 60, what will be 62 years old in September?
58.
Three. Yeah. Yeah. So you 58. So
And
you were the company was only 5 years old when you started?
yes, yeah,
5 years old. Oh
yes.
my gosh. And why tell, I don't know your story. I just hear Katie tell me all these wonderful Esther stories. I'm like, I need to get to know Esther better. So share with us, like we call a before now, future story. What's your Mary Kay I story? I want to hear, when this first Mary Kay first crossed your life. What did your life look like then?
Well, my husband traveled and I had 3 children in school. So I stayed in this little town, which was like 150 people. That's where we lived. And my friend lived in Houston and she joined Mary Kay. So she would come through because directors had to go to Dallas every month for training. They flew in from everywhere for training
Every single month, every director
every
came
month.
into
Yeah,
Dallas.
yeah.
Mm,
And so I didn't have anything to do, and she'd say, "Ride with me." So I would ride with her, and I would sit out in the halls because I wasn't allowed to go in. And Mary Kay and go into the bathroom or wherever she had to go to tend to business would just say, "Come walk with me." And so I would walk with her. And she said, "Why are you not signed up?" And I'd say, "Oh, Mary Kay, I live in this little town. It's not 150 people, dog, cats, and all. And I couldn't build a business there." And she didn't say much then, but the next time I came, she said, "If I could help you build a business, would you be willing to do it?" And I said, "Oh, sure." So the next time I came, she took a compass and drew a 100-mile radius of my little town, which included Houston and Dallas.
mm,
So she said, "You go every week to a different town and you start there. You don't
mm.
have to start in your hometown, start in their town." So she said, "You go to the school, you go to the, if they have a courthouse, you go to the restaurant, the beauty, they called them, what they call them back then. They didn't
Beauty
call
salon or yeah,
them,
something fun. Beauty
uh,
parlor.
yeah, beauty parlor, that's
Uh-huh,
right.
uh-huh.
And they had the curling irons that were there.
Yeah.
And you could smell it all over town. So that's how you found the beauty parlor. But anyway, that's the way I started. And so it was just so much fun. I
Mm,
was raised by my grandparents and I was taught never to talk to strangers. But I learned how to talk to strangers. So
oh my
it,
gosh.
it was just a lot of fun. And my friends just thought I was nuts, because
What do they think now?
oh, they're all dead.
Well, aren't you glad to Mary Kay? Because you have all these younger friends.
No, I had older people.
Yeah.
I built my business with older people. Their granddaughters was how I got the younger ones.
Oh, yes.
They were the only ones that had money. Young kids
Right.
back then didn't have money. So
Right.
had to be built with the elderly. So yeah,
And what I mean, I know Mary Kay used to always tell us a woman who'll tell her age will tell anything, but I think that you should tell your age. You look fabulous. And it's a great testimony to this product also and this lifestyle. So do you mind telling us how old you are?
I'll tell you a story about it. I go to church with this young man. When I first went there, he was just a little boy, but I loved him and he loved me. And so he said, I want to sit with you at lunch today. I said, okay, you save us a seat and I'll be right back. So he saved me a seat. And I in the morning got to sit down till somebody said, Esther, you still celebrating that 90th birthday? And he said, 90? You're 90 years old?
Oh my gosh.
So funny. We all laughed all during the lunch. People would just die laughing. How he looked at me like, you just couldn't believe
You
I
blew
was
them away.
older than dirt.
Well, how share with me when you said you went into those cities and you were, you were taught not to talk to strangers. What did you do when you went into those cities? Because Mary Kay wasn't a household word back then.
No, it was not. Nobody
Hmm.
had heard of it. No,
Mm-mm.
they didn't. I usually just started, well, I'd go into the schools and I would ask to teach health, they called it then.
Mhm.
But I taught kids how to brush their teeth, comb their hair, and all the things of washing their face and hands and all that stuff. That's what I taught there. And so I really got to know the teachers through doing that. And
Mhm.
I would go once a month to the schools. And then the courthouse, I would just go into the courthouse and pretend that I might someday want to move in the area because
Mhm.
I really didn't know when my husband retired where we would live. But anyway, that's what I pretended to do was to just be looking at the area. And so it was easy because people didn't have a lot of things to do in the courthouse because people were not buying and selling. So
Mhm.
they did their routine of lunch and coffee as they do today. So I joined in.
So does 90 years old make you the oldest active national in Mary Kay?
Oh no,
No,
uh, uh, I can't think of her name right now.
but
Well,
there's
it'll come.
someone who's in her 90s.
Yeah, it'll
Is
come.
there?
Uh,
Okay.
yeah, I just heard from her. She's doing great. I'm really
Aw,
proud of her. Um, but I can't think of her name.
that's okay. Believe me, if I don't
It'll
write
come.
stuff down, I forget everything. So why did you stay in Mary Kay for so long?
The car.
Mm,
When Mary Kay offered the car, I was a lifer
mm,
because my husband traveled, and a woman could not go to the dealership and buy a car.
wow.
So Mary Kay couldn't even buy a car. She had cash in her
Mm,
purse and she couldn't buy a car. So
unbelievable.
you had to have a man with you to buy a car. So when she offered the car, that was it for me. I've never made a car payment. I've never had to
Oh,
own
what
a,
a blessing.
yes, it is. Yeah. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I
Mm.
still do. I picked up my car last January. So
Oh, I mean, gosh, that's a lot of cars. That's, if you
it
add
is.
that up, I mean, it's over a half million, maybe $1 million worth of vehicles.
Oh, yeah. My son did a few years back. Because he was so proud that I earned the cars because he could drive them. And the insurance for him to drive when he began to drive was so absorbent, we just couldn't afford it. So
Mm-hmm.
I, I told Mary Kay that, and so I think it was $10 that I had to pay for him to drive.
Oh my gosh. What are some of your Mary Kay stories? Because people are listening to this that are guests, some are maybe new consultants, or some are tenured directors. But what Mary Kay stories do you want to share with us that you think are really important to this culture and for them to be like memories and stories and points that you want to make sure get passed on through the generations?
Well, this is probably not something that most people would be interested in, but we loved Mary Kay so much. You know, we always wanted to do something to please her. And because she had helped me so much, my director certainly wanted to help her. So we got together a number of directors and we all made Christmas balls, the round balls, and put beads on them.
Hmm.
Absolutely gorgeous. And you could not buy them in the store. But we knew if we made enough to decorate her Christmas tree, that we
Hmm.
could come and spend time with her. So it was a method to her madness. That's what we did. We made all these Christmas balls for her Christmas tree with pearls and rhinestones and old jewelry. We would take it, break it up, and make beautiful Christmas balls. I think we had like 500,
Oh
and
my gosh.
we took them to Dallas and got to spend the day with her. So
Aw.
and she took us out to eat at her favorite restaurant, which was the Los Tias, the
It was a Mexican restaurant, wasn't it?
Mexican
Hmm.
restaurant, yes. And of course, he was her uh, friend's husband. And so he treated us royally. And I try
Mm.
to go back there every year when I go back to Dallas because it's still a restaurant and they still have great Mexican food. So,
And she used to travel with a little hot sauce in her purse, didn't
oh
she?
yes, she did. Yes.
Hmm.
And she loved to go to San Antonio to get sweet potato candy.
Oh, I missed that when we were just in San Antonio. I didn't know about sweet potato candy.
Mi Tierras was a part of the marketplace, and they had all kinds of candies and uh, plants and different things that she loved to go there. So,
Mm. Well, share, do you have a funny, I'd like to hear maybe a funny story, a heartwarming story. Just there's so many people that never will meet Mary Kay. So what do you think is important to know about her? Because when we're out there sharing this product and opportunity, we're representing Mary Kay Ash, a real live person, not just a brand or, Betty Crocker who was made up to be on a cake box. So
right.
what do you want us to know about? Because she was your friend.
Yes. She never met a stranger. She always reached out to everyone. In the restaurant, she was just the charmer. And she always recruited the waitress, of course, and she would give them to us. She would give them,
Mm-hmm.
she would let them know that she couldn't take care of them, but that we would.
Mm-hmm.
Whomever she passed by after she had met them, she gave their name to us.
Mm-hmm.
So, so warm and loving, and she drew attention to her. She had an aura about her. I know if you met her, you know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
talking about. On
Mm-hmm.
the elevator, she just drew people to her, especially little kids. Oh my God,
Mm-hmm.
she loved little kids.
You
But
know, someone's a good person if little kids like them, I think.
absolutely,
Mm-hmm.
that's true. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I I think the main story that was so funny was in California. My friend was a real estate agent. She lived in my area of Texas, was born and raised, but her husband was from California and she sold real estate. And when Mary Kay was going to uh, start her company in California, she needed a building. And so she hired my friend. I didn't know this at the time. And of course, Mary Kay didn't know who she was either. But she was from a little town out of Dallas called Centerville, Texas. So she told Mary Kay she was from Centerville, Texas. Well, of course, Mary Kay knew where that was. So she was in. But they were looking for buildings, and Mary Kay had this appointment, and I mean, this speaking engagement, and she asked her to go with her. And so she canceled all of her appointments and wanted to go, of course. And so they were riding along, and Mary Kay said, "Oh, I've got to run in my hose." And she believed in carrying an extra hose with you. And that was before pantyhose. So this was with the garter belt and all the trimmings. She asked Mel to look in the glove box and get her a pair of hose, and he did. He handed them to her. And she put them on in the back seat. And she just put one leg on. She didn't change the other one. So she made them matching. So she threw the hose over Mel's shoulder and she said, Elvis throws out his ties and his scarves. And you think I could throw this out in the crowd tonight and get some joiners? So,
She had such a great sense of humor.
yes. And Mel, of course, he just was so embarrassed because this pantyhose are laying upon his shoulders. So,
Oh my gosh. Well, now, I mean, I remember, so we didn't just have, like, you still could obviously now get the garters, but by the time I started Mary Kay in 86, we were wearing, we called them nylons, but they were pantyhose, right? But we
yeah,
were taught, keep 2 or 3 pairs in the car, because if you have a run, you may need to change them. I mean, Mary Kay was very into image. You know,
yeah,
she purposely asked us to wear skirts when we did our Mary Kay business. I was taught, don't leave your house unless you would be happy to meet Mary Kay at the mailbox.
yeah.
And so, speak a little bit about that, because I know obviously our culture has changed and companies went to casual Fridays, which now a lot of them are going back because I don't think that's helped their productivity at all. But um, share with us how Mary Kay, why she felt that image was important for her sales force.
Well, she, of course, thought the first impression was the uh, best that you could do. She said,
Mm.
"Well, it was your house or your car." And she used to go through the parking lot. She would park at the back of the lot to walk through and look inside the cars. And she didn't mind to tell you that you need to clean your car up. And she really, in speaking, she'd say, "I've never seen a dirty pink Cadillac, and I better not." And
Mm-hmm.
so,
I remember her saying that and
yes.
feeling a little guilty because I had babies at that time. I'm like, I think there's McDonald's French fries in the back seat right now.
But she was serious about it. She was
Oh,
very serious.
right. Well, and also too, I think some people have watered Mary Kay down. Like, she said lots of motivational things and she was so encouraging. But when she looked in your eye and you committed her to do something, like, you knew she fully expected it. And I mean, she was it's kind of like people have watered down Jesus. Like, he's just all love and he never said anything that offended anyone. And I'm like, yeah, it's not what I read. But with Mary Kay, I mean, you could sit on a throne and be number one, and she's crowning you and saying, okay, what's next? Esther, what's next?
Yeah,
Laurel's rusted on wilt. So share some of that Mary Kay with us, because some people don't know that Mary Kay. The
right.
one that believed in women so dearly that, she was going to encourage you to the top as long as you'd allow her to.
Right, right. Well, one time I was sitting on the front seat, which you always wanted to sit on the front seat because sometimes she'd come and take your hand,
Mm.
in the eye. Well, this particular day, she said, was talking about filling your date book. And so I always sold a lot. I never recruited, but I always sold a lot, and she knew it. So she said, let me see your date book. And so I handed it to her. She opened it up. She said, snow blindness. Said I would get snow blindness in here. And she kept turning the pages. So she said, uh, how do you sell? You don't make appointments. And so anyway, it was just really funny, but it was very embarrassing to me. And, a lot of people said, I would have quit. Yeah, I never thought about quitting. I forgot about filling that date book up.
And that's why you're still here 50 plus years later with us.
But I usually put it on my calendar and I would transfer it to my date book because I
Mhm.
didn't want to mess my date book up. But I didn't explain that to her.
Well, and Esther and I were chatting before I started the recording, and she had just gotten back from the Apple store. So show them your new gift. She's now has her new Apple Watch
Yeah,
and a new phone because
new
she had
phone.
so many star points that she got those as a gift for
Yeah.
Mary Kay. And I said, "What are you going to do with your iPhone?" She goes, "I don't know."
Oh, they took it at the iPhone place. I don't know what they're gonna do with it. Uh, anyway, I want to tell you this story before I forget it. I had a fire, uh, my house burned,
Mm,
and I mean, it burned to the ground, and Mary Kay heard about it. So all
mm,
the prices that they had in stock, and they used to keep them in stock,
yeah.
all the prizes, there was a big wooden box about the size of a casket that came with all the prizes that I had won.
Oh.
And a suit, the only clothes I had was I had on my director's suit. But there was another director's suit in the box. There
Hmm.
was, at the time, a consultant suit in the box, um, ceiling fans. There was all kind of desk sets,
Oh
uh,
my gosh.
all kinds of furniture. I had won a lazy boy chair, and they had come out and measured me for the chair.
Oh my gosh.
So this lazy boy had an appointment for me to go and be fitted for the
Oh.
chair. Uh,
Wow.
there was just so many things in there, little things like staplers, all kinds of
Mm.
uh, sticky things that you put on refrigerators. What do you call it? Magnets, uh, lights. I
Mm.
and, a number of floor lamps. Uh,
It sounds like a moving van
yes,
pulled up.
everything they could pack in there was in there.
Oh my gosh.
When you don't have anything,
Yes.
I had my clothes, and that was
Mm.
all. And the next
Mm.
day, I had rented a townhouse, and I had my meetings in that townhouse, and I kept most of my inventory in the
Mm.
townhouse. So
Mm.
anyway, it was
Mm. That's so special. So
uh,
generous.
that she would have such a heart for.
Mhm. Her heart for women, unparalleled. And
Right,
you've never missed a quarter as a star. So
never.
we have some women that are listening. If you're new, check on In Touch, talk to your director to make sure you become a star. By March 15th is the deadline, but never missed a star. You've had
Yeah.
no car payments. Um, what?
I love my
What?
life.
I know. And you can tell. I mean, you're not just beautiful on the outside and your skin, obviously looks Mary Kay beautiful, but you can tell there's joy, that you're very joyful. You're not a bitter old person. You're very joyful. And I mean, that's priceless. That is a
But
priceless commodity that you got that from your job. Most people don't get their joy from their jobs.
I, well, I do, and I love
Mm,
the people. Oh my
mm.
goodness. I hear from people that I haven't heard from in years. They found my phone number, uh, found my name. It's just so amazing today how you can find people if you have their name.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's good and it's kind of scary at the same time.
it is, but it also is
Oh,
so refreshing, so rewarding. Yeah.
hmm.
But
Well,
I uh, like 180 rings,
oh my gosh,
not
180
diamond rings
rings.
by any means, but rings.
Yes.
But they offered them as star prizes. They offered
Okay.
for the stage, and then you just accumulate rings because the company um, gave a ring one time because I'd been in the company for 40 years and it was the 40-year anniversary.
Huh.
They gave me a ring for that. Uh,
Wow. Treasures.
yes, Mary Kay loved to give gifts.
She did. And she gave, that was one of the things she wanted to give Cinderella gifts because she had gotten a bass fishing light one time. And she said she would, if she was ever in charge of picking the gifts, it would be something that the women may not get for themselves. So there's probably not many women who have 50 rings that they've earned, that have been
Right, right,
or bought, probably.
right. I never bought rings. I don't even
No.
wear rings. And
you,
but all
you have a safe of them.
my grandchildren and
Oh,
daughters
they are very happy.
and my consultants always
Mhm.
offer a ring, one of my rings. Now, I don't buy them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. There's gonna be some people who are like, I want to be her consultant.
Yeah.
Well, in closing, what advice would you give the women that are listening to this? What advice, like in retrospect, you have lots of wisdom. And I'm sure, you look back and you go, yep, I would have changed that, or nope, that was good. I would keep doing it. So what advice do you want to give the women who are listening to this, who are building Mary Kay businesses? And also any advice you'd have to guests who are considering starting a Mary Kay business?
Well, any age can do this business. If you love people, you have to love people.
Yeah.
It's really a people business. It's
Mhm.
not a business that you can do online and build a friendship. You
Mhm.
can do business, but it doesn't build a life. And I
Right.
built a life by one-on-one. And going into someone's home, you know those people. When you've
Mhm.
been away from that home, you know those people.
Yes.
You're always invited back, and to deliver product, they'll say, "Now, if you don't have time to visit, wait until you do." Okay. Yeah.
And isn't that so opposite? Because so many women don't start a Mary Kay business because they don't want to be the pushy salesperson. And on the opposite side of that coin, in Mary Kay, your customers wanted to visit with you. They're excited to hear from
Yeah.
you because of how we're taught to meet their needs. And everyone has a sign around their neck saying, "Make me feel important."
Right, yes. One time I cut the ring off of the Applause magazine and
Mhm.
wore it around my finger, a paper ring,
Uh,
and I showed it at my skincare class, and I laid it up on the window because of washing the washcloths, to get off. It was paper, it'd get wet, so I laid it up on the sink. The woman drove 40 miles to bring me that ring because
oh,
I left it on her sink. So
aw.
you think those rings are not important to other people, They
Mm-hmm.
don't,
Mm-hmm.
don't ever. But what I wanted to say is that we have so many people that just hear about the money. The money was the last thing of interest to me
Mm-hmm.
at one point in time.
Mm-hmm.
Later, it became very important because I had 3 children to support.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a different story. To be able to do the business just for the uh, prestige of having something that all women love cosmetics. You can talk
Mm-hmm.
to anybody about
Mm-hmm.
cosmetics,
Mm-hmm.
even though they don't use them. They want to know about them, and they
Mm-hmm.
want to know what you use, what
Mm-hmm.
and so she always told us, you don't go anyplace without knowing what brand, not what brand, but what color of lip color you have on. They're gonna ask, so you need,
Mm. That's
so
true.
yes, yes. It was just a way of life. I don't know what people do that don't have Mary Kay to talk.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
And they try to talk about the Christian life,
Mm-hmm.
and but some people are turned off.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are turned off by cosmetics, but that's wrinkles to you, honey. I
Can't
don't
wait to
say
be
that,
your age and you can say whatever you want.
I don't say it out
And you say
loud,
it
but I just
beautifully.
I think it's pretty funny.
Oh, well, again, I could, and actually, I'm going to turn this off and we are going to keep talking, but we need to keep the recording to a certain time frame to for the event tonight. But I appreciate your time. I appreciate your service to Mary Kay's mission and being a bright light out there because there's, I mean, in our country, we live in a country that a lot of people work to retire and plan on doing, nothing really afterwards. And I love to see women who they're still learners, they still want to serve. And this is a place that you can do this, like you said, at any age.
Absolutely, yes, yes. It's so exciting to see these young people. They are so fearless. It's amazing to me that I was scared of everything because of being raised by my grandparents, but I didn't have a choice when I had to make a living for 3 children. I had
Mm,
my husband was in the hospital for 8 months at one point
mm,
in time. And
wow.
one place I got to know Mary Kay because her daughter was in the hospital at the same time.
Oh,
And there was a lot of steps up to the hospital, and sometimes, especially on Monday, everybody had their meeting on Monday, and
mhm.
always went. And I was coming down the steps as Mary Kay was going up. She said, "Why aren't you at your meeting?" I said, "Why aren't you at our meeting?" And so she was always so witty. She had something to
Mm,
say. But
mm,
God has been good to us all. His company has never gone through any of the nasty stuff that a lot of companies go through. God is,
mhm.
and she gets
Yes.
credit for it too. Yes.
Mhm. Mm. Well, Esther, thank you so very much for your time. I appreciate it. I know women are going to love this, and I just hope it gives hope and encouragement to everyone because I know that that's what you desire, and that's what Mary Kay poured into you.
Oh, absolutely. She uh, said she didn't have a negative thought. She had a button on her shoulder. And that when she was hearing negative stuff, she would just punch the button. And when you're punching the button, you can't hear. You're deaf. So they would just keep talking and she'd keep smiling, she'd keep punching, and then she never heard what they said. So I still do that. I still do that. If it's so bad, I don't want to hear it. I just keep tapping.
I might start doing that. That's a good tip right there. I remember her saying that, if you go to even a Mary Kay meeting and you sit down and someone just starts complaining about cancellations or this is hard or la, 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 she said, you have my permission to say, oh, I need to go to the restroom or get a drink and go do your business and come back and sit down in a different place. So she really taught women how to draw boundaries and how to think straight, how to have a positive attitude. And yeah, women today, it blows us away that, I mean, you couldn't go and get a car on your own in your lifetime
No,
back
never.
then. Mm. Thank you, Mary Kay. Thank
Yes,
you,
thank
Mary
you,
Kay.
thank you, thank you.
And
Yes,
thank you, Esther. Thank you for your time.
I love you, sweetheart.
Oh, I love
Thank
you
you.
too. Oh, and for everyone, Mary Kay just came out with a new beauty coat and it's Esther approved. She loves the material and the style. And this is
That's
a classy lady.
yeah,
So,
it's
mhm,
beautiful. Thank you, thank
mhm.
you. All right.
Okay. You have a good rest of your day.
You too. Love you.
Love you.
Bye.